riding through. I know you're riding through. One thing that I can do every time you're riding through, I see you shining blue. Outfit cold like mine is blue.
One thing that I can do, you know it's sliding through. I see you shining blue. Outfit cold like mine is blue.
One thing that I can do every time you're riding through, I see you shining blue. Outfit cold like mine is blue.
One thing that I can do, you know it's sliding through. I see you shining blue. Outfit cold like mine is blue.
All right, welcome. It's week one, season seven of the Gold League. It's time for Otter Talk, and then hopefully followed up by a stream. As some of you are well aware, I'm sure there has been a wonderful patch this evening. 12.5 has dropped a couple champion buffs, some nerfs, and the new champion coming out. But with that,
You say
spectator.
12.5?
Yeah.
It's point
Oh no,
point four.
12.4. Sorry, yeah, my bad. 12.4. But with that though, unfortunately, Spectator is a little scuffed right now. So if we're able to get the stream up and running after Otter Talk, Season 7 scuffed stream. Let's get it. But I'm Traxon. Joining this evening is none other than the Bully and Fury. Gentlemen, how we doing?
I'm doing well, chilling. Hopefully, like you said, hopefully gonna be able to get that stream up and running tonight, albeit maybe a little bit scuffed, but should be
Mhm.
fun.
All right. Well, with that, it's time to hop in Otter Talk, and let's start talking about these matchups. As you'll see with the top, it is Jeeves, myself, Fury, Bully, and the community voting. So we got some good games tonight. Potential upsets. We'll see. Though, it's week one. So starting off though, it is Aftermath Esports taking on Business Time. One of the first matches we're going to talk about in the Cloud division. Jeeves has selected Business Time. Myself and Fury have both selected Aftermath Esports, and the Bully has gone with Business Time. So we're gonna let Fury start this one off. You selected Aftermath here. Kind of give me the rundown as to why.
So I really don't know either of the teams. My vote is just purely off of the OPGGs that I took a look at. Aftermath just looked a little bit better, based off of recent win rates, and individual play. So I'm just really going off of that.
All right, fair enough. I agree pretty much with what you said. I think Aftermath is going to be a potential playoff. I think maybe they can like sneak in as the last seed in Cloud Division, but
Mhm.
uh, we'll see. I think Business Time is going to be I think a playoff team as well. But I think early on in the season, I think you drop a couple games that maybe you shouldn't, and I think Business Time is just gonna. It's one of those games that they have the potential to drop here early on in this season.
Sure.
Up next, we are going to talk about Clinical up against Literal Monkeys Fire, and everyone has selected Literal Monkeys Fire beat Clinical. So, Fury, go ahead and walk me through your thought here, your thought process.
I think it's mainly just because Literal Monkeys is a very well-known org that is making yet another return to the scene here at BOL. It's a lot of names that we've seen before: Burry Donut, Jesus Juice, No Name, Pink Penguin. The only person on that team that I'm not familiar with is Item 9. But I did watch this team play a couple of days ago in EGL, and they absolutely just took it home 2-0, pretty clean, looked very good, and I think they might just continue on with that tonight.
All right, fair enough. And we know a little bit about Fire here. Um, and like it pains me to say it, but I think Clinical is going to struggle a little bit in this group. I think obviously anyone has potential, any team has potential, anyone could step up individually. But I think like on if you look at it on paper and with Cloud Division, I think Clinical probably sits towards the lower portion. And I don't know if they're gonna at least obviously this is way too early to make these predictions, but
Yeah.
the way too early predictions, I kind of put them just out of playoff range. With that, the next matchup we are going to talk about it is New New World Esports Jupiter taking on Revolution Halcyon, and it does look like that Jeeves, the community, and Bully have gone for New World. Meanwhile, myself and you, Fury, have gone for Revolution Halcyon. So, Bully, we're gonna let you kind of lead this one off as to why you went with New World Esports Jupiter.
All right, so I had the same idea yesterday, and it
Mm-hmm.
actually just kind of bit me in the ass, yeah, and I got it wrong. So Revolution has had a pretty bad streak of BOL. Yesterday, they actually started 2-0. They actually won their plat matches, and I had a very bad time yesterday in my predictions. But I can't give up on it. I think Revolution will start off slow, especially because their top laner is actually not going to be eligible. They don't have enough games.
Ooh.
So I'm going to guess they're going to use a sub in that top lane spot, kind of change up the roster just a little bit. While New World Esports Jupiter, I don't recognize a lot of those names, but some of them I do. I know Yomi, their ADC. I've seen him play before in other teams. I seen him playing in Risen. I think he's a very solid support. He rarely plays comp, but
Mm-hmm.
or solid AC. Yeah, he rarely plays comp, but he is gonna be probably a top 10 ADC in the league. And I have more confidence in the New World Esports Jupiter roster right now than I do with Revolution because I don't know where they stand of who's playing where, how much have they been practicing. I know Ball Slap is down bad in ranked. He's like 4-16. It
Ooh.
is not going too hot.
Yes, but hear me
Yes.
out. Revolution. I put them to win. You might say, what about last season? You would be correct. However, when you're at the bottom, you can only go up. And I think Revolution
Or stay at
previous
the bottom.
season has done a lot of losing, and I think they've learned a lot from that. I think they're going to channel that knowledge that they have learned throughout the grueling season 6. They're going to come into season 7. They're going to pop off, and they're going to win this game against New Orleans Sports Jupiter. I won't make any promises after that, but I guarantee you, they're only coming up from season 6.
Played well. They played well. I mean, Platt played well yesterday. I bit
Mm-hmm.
myself as well, Bully. Me and you both went against them.
Mm-hmm.
But tonight I'm all for him.
I'm always more confident in gold predictions just because I know these gold teams more. In
Yeah.
Plat, we had like
Yeah,
probably 13 out of the 16 were new teams. So
that's very true.
All right. Next up, we're going to talk about it is Rivals up against TA Day Spa. And every single one of us, including the community, have selected TA Day Spa. Fury, go ahead and walk us through this.
I mean, it's the best of Nails and Day Spa on another team in TA, and their roster is pretty stacked. This entire both of these orgs, as well as just what was Nails and Day Spa, very familiar to all of us. That's probably why we all picked this team to win, and they're just a very stacked roster. I don't know Rivals. That's a big thing as to why I can't really say anything on them. Obviously, they could come out and wipe the floor and make us all look dumb, which would be great for them. But
Yeah.
I don't know anything about them to really put anything in their favor.
Yeah, fair enough. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is almost the entire roster when they won, right?
Yeah, Kaiser,
they
Crux, Electrify House.
Mm-hmm.
so they
Yeah.
wanted to run this same exact roster as the one they won,
Yeah.
but like
But they're missing like one person. Yeah.
Fish Taco played all of his like 130 games he needed to, and then some IRL situation came up, so Fish Taco has been removed off the roster unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted to run it back. Like when Trucks first applied, they told me that they wanted to have a salty run back. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's not gonna what it's look like. But their roster is
It's close
stacked.
though.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's nuts.
So we'll see how they do, but definitely I'd say, way too early predictions. Definitely one of the teams that we favorite to make it at least in the playoffs. All right. Up next. Now that we've talked about the Cloud Division, let's take a look at Mountain. It is CB Ibiza up against Clown Gaming Aristocrats. And only I am the sole individual to select them. Everyone else went for CB Ibiza. And I guess I'll start this one off. There's one thing that we know about CB gold teams. Actually, there's two things. One, they are a second half team, right? Second half of the split, that is. The beginning of the split, little rocky, little rough, right? And then they choke in semifinals. But with that said, I think they have a better roster than what they normally, what they normally put out. And I think they're going to be a really good team this year. But I also think that they're going to drop this game early on because of the CB buff hasn't quite kicked in yet. Go ahead, Fury, though. How about
Okay.
you disagree with me? Obviously. Tell me why.
I don't even necessarily disagree with you. Like, this is really just a 50-50 for me. I really
Okay.
think this is going to be one of the closest games tonight because
Mm-hmm.
both teams are very stacked. Ibiza,
Yeah.
from what I am looking at, from people I recognize, Chitin, Wonderworld, Waka. Chitin is, as much as it's pun unintended, it's still a good pun. Chitin is like the gold standard in BOL for mid laners.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whenever people are talking about mid laners, they're always like, "Oh, but how is he in compared to Chitin?" I don't know why that happened, but that just started happening. Um, and he's really good, and he's got Wonderworld on his team, who is an insane ADC. On the other side, you have Northward, Abound, Easton, Physiology on Clown Gaming. Um, I I think it's be super close. I just have Ibiza as just taking
Mm-hmm.
the slight edge over
Okay.
them.
Yeah, and to clarify as well, I think these are easily number one, number two seeds, and I think maybe towards the end of the season, Ibiza kind of edges out Clon Gaming as the number one seed moving into playoffs. But honestly, yeah, I think these two teams are very good, going to be at the top of the standings, or you never know. It is Gold League. Someone could have a collapse mid-season.
Mm.
That's what makes it so interesting. Let's talk about the next matchup then. It is Clown Gaming Jesters up against Glacial Void. So Jeeves and Fury have selected Glacial Void, while myself, the community, and Bully have selected Clown Gaming Jesters. Bully, would you kind of give us your reasoning as to why you selected the Jesters here?
Sure. Mostly because I know that they've been a team for a good bit. Uh, I know a lot of these players on Glacial. Like I knew Silent Elements, I know Dopamine. I played against both of them, but I don't really know about the other players. And I know that people like Dimandus, Muddy, Kills. They've played in well, I don't think Kills actually has, but Demandus and Muddy have played in BOL before. They've been solid, and I think this is a great showing of who's gonna actually edge the other and be in that like top four of the group and versus the bottom four, because this I feel like this is gonna be a test match. It's not going to be exactly who I think is going to be like, going to be the best in the group or the worst, but it's definitely going to be people that are going to be in that unknown area. And I think Cloud Gaming Jesters have that small edge against Glacial on their roster, just having more synergy throughout the whole team to win this.
All right, fair enough. And Fear, you went with Glacial Void. Go ahead and give me the rundown.
Yeah, so I'm kind of with Bully where I know a couple people on either team. DMNS Buddy, I know how they play.
Mm-hmm.
Kama and Gopamine, Silent Elements, I've seen them play. Um, I'm really only going off of peak ranks currently, as well as the fact that I know Glacial as a organization is very dedicated to making sure that they have good teams drafted together and that they're actually constantly playing it. So I guess slight insider information over what I have
Okay.
knowing Clown Gaming Gestures. That's really my only reason behind that vote.
All right. Fair enough. Let's take a look at our next matchup within the Mountain Division. It is New World Esports Mercury up against Phantoms. Everyone has gone for New World Esports Mercury, while the community was split 50-50 between both teams. I'll lead this one off. I think so. Looking at these two teams on paper, I think New World Esports Mercury is either bottom of the group for playoffs or just outside playoffs, depending on how the rest of these teams kind of show up. We'll talk about Roar as one of the question marks I have later in this group. And as much as it pains me to say so, I think Phantoms is going to sit somewhere around seventh or potentially eighth in this group. I think they're going to have an uphill battle for them this season. They can do it. I believe in them. But I do think that they're coming in the mountain as underdogs this season. How about you,
Yeah,
Fury?
I can get behind that. That's understandable. I have a slightly different reasoning for mine. Mine
Go
was
ahead.
more so all of their names are synced up. They all have NWE in the front of it, and that just
Okay.
shows dedication to the
True,
craft.
it
You know
does.
what I mean? If you're
Yeah.
spending money to make your name synced up with your
Or Blue
team,
Essence.
you
Mm-hmm.
yeah, whatever it is you're using, that's a lot of blue essence.
Yeah.
Um, then you've got to be playing with your team constantly, right? Like you've got to actually be
Mhm.
dead. As much as it sounds like a meme, I'm actually slightly serious behind that. But at the same
Okay.
time, it's mainly just their current ranks just look better overall compared to last season. Boogie's obviously the exception because I guess he's just too cool to have NWE in front of his name. But also not familiar with Phantoms myself. I don't
Mhm.
know really anybody on that roster.
Okay. Fair enough. And let's now take a look then at the final matchup of Mountain Division. It is RAR taking on Red Panda Gaming Cubs. And Jeeves, myself, and the community have selected Red Panda Gaming Cubs. Meanwhile, Fury and the Bully have selected RAR. Bully, go ahead and walk us through why.
So I think there's a couple of variables on this whole match where RPG Cubs actually lost their mid laner yesterday, and coincidentally, that mid laner went to RAR. So
Mm-hmm.
Doki with his 40 billion mates created a 10-man roster who I have no idea who's gonna play and who's not gonna play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there's gonna be some kind of like like I guess just a group of players that's gonna just end up playing each week,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe RPG Cubs might ease up, so that means that they would have -2 bans, but then Volgai also is eligible to play, so it's gonna just be a toss up of how well this roster is gonna do just on the fly, especially when losing one of their main players literally a day ago. So I went with Rod just because these players are just literally have been playing together a long time. They literally played together for multiple leagues, and RPG losing pieces of the puzzle is might struggle a little bit early on in the season.
Mhm.
Yes. I was originally leaning towards RAR, and then I went and I looked at the roster doc and saw the whole team was pretty much orange. And I was like, this is interesting. Who gets their player applications in and who doesn't? Lo and behold, all of them did. So I just checked a little bit before that was updated. But I think these two teams probably by mid to end of the season, once you know, uh, RPG Cubs figures out their roster issue, I think they're going to be roughly around the same skill level and kind of point in the standings. I think this is more of a closer matchup if we saw this week 3. But I do think that with losing that player, it could be pretty detrimental. Or, maybe they just play like monsters because they're upset that Toki took one of their guys. We'll see.
That'll do it. It's just the revenge arc here is what it is.
All right, let's take a look now at the Ocean Division. Last division, it is the AK Jasmine Dragons up against the CB Rangers. And everyone has selected the CB Rangers in this matchup. Fury, tell me why.
So Jasmine Dragons, they've got like Bam Vanderall, Peter Griefer. They have some really good players. CB Rangers, though, we know a lot more. I think about Cooper, Barack, and Riverd, because of how long they've been around the scene. CB, again, just a very well-known organization that just brings in a lot of really good talent. So that is my entire argument for why I think that they're gonna win. It's just they are very solid year after year.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Honestly, looking at this roster, this is a tough group. Ocean's going to be a very difficult group to navigate. You need to pick up these wins early because dropping a series to someone you shouldn't drop, like in week 1 or week 2, is going to be incredibly detrimental to your playoff run down the line. With that said, I believe CB Rangers makes playoffs in this group. Again, it's not an easy group, but I think they're able to do it in here. And I think this is just the first win to get it on the board, keep going forward, and picking up those wins. And before you know it, you're in.
They have
Right.
experience.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
And then they lose in semifinals, but whatever. At least they made playoffs.
That's always
Next,
what it is. That's always the argument.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, they're great, but they choke in semifinals.
Mhm. We'll see though. Maybe they can break the curse. Maybe they go over talk to some of the plat teams, and maybe they're able to give them the mental fortitude that they need to be
Yeah.
successful. I'm getting pinged by Excel. Oh, we lose in
Okay.
finals, not semis. Oh, this season. All right, sounds good. We'll pin it and see if you guys can do it. Up next, though, it is Conduit Esports taking on GSG Gamma. And everyone has selected Conduit Esports. So, Bully, I'm going to let you start this one off.
Man. So the GSG's Gamma Squad, I think it's definitely different from any GSG team in the past. Uh, the only name that I like recognize extremely well is that Decker guy. And other than that, I think the other four starters were playing in like ZGG under GSG Gamma. So this is a completely different GSG squad. Um, and the one thing I remember is that this GSG squad was a little bit worse than the old one. And right now, that Conduit squad is looking really solid. They have, you know, a lot of big name stays. They have Kappa, Crusader, they have JJH, Genetics, and Grand
Mhm.
Fate. All those are extremely solid players. I know Genetics was, I would say, top five ADC last season. You see Kappa that unfortunately plays a lot of Gragas, and Gragas is pretty bad in the jungle, but it's very solid at the champion and solid, like utility supportive jungler, and can create a lot of plays just being with the champion pool that he has. So I think that the amount of experience that this team has
Mhm.
and how strong the individual players are just gonna carry them to victory here.
All right, fair enough. Here, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, my only gripe, like I know basically every
Mhm.
single one of those people on that team for Conduit. I've known Black Eyed Peas for like 15 years now, and in that entire time that I've known him, he's always been a jungler. I don't think I've ever seen him play top. So I'm nervous about that.
Okay.
He is an
Okay.
extremely good jungler. I don't know what he's like in top lane, and that's my only issue with it. However, GSG Gamma, I don't know who their top laner is. So to me, it's kind of a wash in that angle.
Mhm.
But I think in the rest of the lanes there, I think just Conduit has the edge.
All right, fair enough. We got two matchups to talk about. The next one is our hopefully streamed game. It is Imperial Gaming taking on Literal Monkeys Water. The community, myself, Fury, the Bully have all went for Imperial Gaming, and Jeeves, the sole individual to go for Literal Monkeys Water. I'll start this one off. When I was looking through the rosters today to make my predictions, I noticed an old familiar face playing ADC that did not have enough games. I checked on the OP.GG, and thankfully, they're good to go now. Paradigm shift, playing ADC for Imperial Gaming. This, I think, is like the OG roster. Sybil, Swaggy P, Zero Expire, Paradigm Shift, Rin. I think this is the season that they go deep. I think they're always so close every season, and something just happens and they don't make it. But this season, I think we're at least looking at a semifinals berth. This is a really hard group to do it in, so they have to pick these wins up and continue to do them. They're up against, Chinese Spy, Hide and Shrouds. They're returning. We've seen them have success, but I think overall, the longevity of this Imperial Gaming team is going to give them the edge over Little Monkey's Water in this best of three tonight. Fury, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, IG is always solid. Like you said, they're either finals, semifinals, like top of playoffs. Always solid. It's always just some kind of crazy upset where they end up losing. Literal Monkeys Water is a great team. I love all those guys. I just know Imperial Gaming, like their comms, listening to them, the way they play is just more cohesive. Like they look like they've been playing together forever. Literal Monkeys, I think might just have some issues here and there. I think technically as players, they're all good. I just think there's certain aspects they need to work on as a team in order to be able to win this game, and I don't think you're going to do that in week one. I think maybe if this is a week 3, 4 game, I go
Mhm.
for Little Monkey's Water, depending on how they were playing for the other weeks. But right now, off the bat, I have to go with IG.
All right, fair enough. And the last matchup we're going to talk about before I throw it to a quick break, it is Oasis Maelstrom taking on Son Goku. Jeeves and myself have both selected Son Goku. Meanwhile, Fury, the Bully, and the community have all selected Oasis Maelstrom. So, Bully, I'm going to let you start this one off.
The good thing on Oasis, we see literally 5 players on the roster, so we probably know who's gonna play.
True.
Um, there's
Dracana, baby.
Dracana. Definitely, I just remember him as like a zillion one trick for the longest
Play
time.
Zillion, win. Like, it's simple as
Yeah,
that.
and then started playing other champions instead of losing.
Mhm.
But that is besides the point. I think it's more of this team is actually pretty solid. I think they still have a long ways to go. But in terms of Son Goku, there's one player on that team that I think has to literally be the center of attention, and that's Son Kopek. He is pretty much like the carry player on the team, and that team's gonna rely on them. And if he gets shut down, then I feel like Son Goku's gonna struggle heavily.
All right. I'm going to go next. Son Goku. They're taking a W here. Let me tell you why. I've played against this team actually a few times in a different league, and I think if they're able to get past some of the funky drafting that they do, they'll be in a good spot. Their players are good. They play around the mid lane, like you said, Sun Kopek. Very good mid laner. Gets a lot of jungle attention and help, and he's able to take that and kind of snowball it into wins for them. You see Evil Gambit coming up in the top lane. We've seen him throughout multiple seasons of multiple leagues. He's always pretty much a rock up in the top lane. Their bot lane's pretty solid as well. Berries and Jobo played against them. They're good, right? They just have to get past some of the funky drafting that they do. Like some of these champions that they're pulling together really don't quite work, but I think in the off season they've figured that out. And worst case scenario, T1 Kanye steps in and carries them if need be. Anyone have anything they'd like to add about this, Fury?
I like you say anybody at Fury.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm just the last one.
Yeah.
I don't have too much to add off of it. I just know Oasis as an organization. I know Dracana. I don't really know anything about Son Goku, other than maybe one game that I've seen before. And as Billy was talking about, it's definitely Kopek. That's kind of the main star, kind of the TSM situation. But that's really all I've got on that one.
All right. Well, that does conclude our predictions. Before I throw it to a quick break, we did it on Plat. Words of advice for some of our new players, our returning players. What do you want to tell them going into week 1 games?
Same as yesterday. Same advice for Platt is pay attention to who you're playing against. Watch the roster swaps. Watch for anything you can. Any little bit of information. The Discord has everything that you might need to give yourself some kind of advantage over the other team. Pay attention to picks, bans. Always bring that up to your coach so they can go through that. Don't underestimate any one of these teams. Even if you've never heard of them before, you might just get stomped in, and it'll be because you thought that they were going to be pushovers. That's really the only advice that I can give, especially on just week 1.
All right. How about you, Bully? Anything you'd like to say to the players getting ready for their games?
Nope. Make sure you use tournament codes. The
Use-
website.
Use the
Yep,
tournament codes.
fill your player registration out if you haven't. Um, but yeah, best of luck, everyone. We will see you guys on the Rift in just a little bit. And go get some W's.